Hold on. Maximize. Let me get the overlay off. You live.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? I am Dr. Stephanie Jackson. I am a creative chiropractor, a health and wellness advocate, a master educator. Thank you for joining us tonight on our sofa chat. Tonight, we have a very, very interesting topic that we are going to continue from last week. We decided to discuss how to do spring cleaning. And in doing spring cleaning, we're going to talk about the healthy ways of cleaning our diet, how to have a healthy, wholesome, and happy life through our diet. And so tonight we have Brother Hatem with us. We have Brother Mike Neal, and we also have the Bellamy family. So on last week, hey, you guys, y'all had a good week?
Oh, yeah.
Were you applying anything that we learned or that we talked about last week to your current life?
I got to think about that.
You got to think about it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's okay. How about you, Brother Mike Neal?
Yeah, somewhat. I just continue to make sure that I'm seeking solutions, because that was, to me, that's the big takeaway for me, to look at how I could seek solutions and to share the information. And I definitely got the chart of the food and all that. So I think I took a little step forward.
Very good, very good. Well, I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that the both of you have. What I did was I did a little bit more research and discussed it with Brother Hatem in terms of food combining and how it actually works for us as a community, but more specifically, how it works for us as African Americans. And so Brother Hatem suggested that we do our own research, which was something that came up in our conversation on last week, is that we do research for ourselves as African American people and see what works best for us. Because on last week, we had several charts posted up in terms of food combining. And in those charts, we discovered that they may not necessarily be applicable to us as African American people. But I'll do a review here and just elaborate on the definition of what food combining is. So on last week, again, our topic was on food combining. And that topic was pretty shocking. I know at least it was for me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm not a person that eats hamburgers and French fries anymore, but it doesn't mean that I never did. But according to the chart, it was saying that, you're not supposed to mix hamburgers or meat with a starch because it could cause some gastrointestinal issues. In other words, it could cause gas. And I'm like, well, maybe that's the solution. Maybe that's the problem altogether. But I discovered that food combining is a philosophy. And what they're saying is that this is a new philosophy, but I'm thinking that based on the charts that we had seen from last week in the research, that it's not necessarily a new philosophy per se. It's just that maybe it has a resurgence. So it says that food combining is a philosophy of separating certain macronutrients. And macronutrients are the meats, protein, the fats, and the carbs. So it is a philosophy of separating those macronutrients and the food groups so that it can help with digestion for those people who have maybe some issues with being able to not only just eat your food, but then have it absorbed properly so that it could reach, so that you could get all the nutrients out of it you can. And then sometimes food combining can be used for those people who are interested in losing weight. And so it stated that when we eat wrong, which means that when we combine our foods wrong, how it can create a buildup of disease and toxins, and it can increase digestive stresses. So to Brother Mike Neal's point of, coming up with solutions, I thought that we could go backwards, talk in backwards, right? And what I mean by that is not just talk about food per se, but I have a few questions that I would like to present to you all so that you all can kind of tell me what you think. So one question is, not only what are we eating, is what we're eating either good for us or bad for us? But more specifically, in terms of solutions, can we think of people within our communities or people that we know who may not even have access to good food? Can we think of people who may not have access to good food? Brother Mike Neal, I see you saying yes.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, if you think about it, there's a very good chance, even for those who are so-called doing well and we have employment or whatever, in our community, the food options are horrible. And recently I learned of a term called a food swamp.
Oh, what is
Not
that?
Not a desert, but a food swamp. And actually just saw Dr. Marquita, and she's from South Carolina, and she said a food swamp is when there may be a gas station or maybe some corner store and they got fruit or they may have some vegetables, but it's not real fruit, it's not real vegetables. I mean, it's not fresh. I mean, you know what fresh food looks like. You know, if you go into a market and you can tell it's just a whole variety. And one way to know for sure, go to get some grocery out of your community. Let's say you go to the other community, and man, you will see fruit and vegetables like you never seen in your life. I mean, it's so vast, so it's so many, so the variety is so good. And so just because there's a convenience store or a gas station that sells bananas, that does not mean you got fresh food. It just means you're in a food swamp. So that's one of the things I learned. And I would say that there are a lot of people living in food swamps right now.
And so to me, I'm wondering, it may even be more people living in food swamps maybe than food deserts per se. I know that according to the research, 19 million people live in food deserts here in the United States. So that's 6.1% of the population. And if we were to add that term food swamp, because I know for me, I can just speak for me, I know that when I became an adult and went away to college, I was in a better position to have access to better food. As I mentioned last week, you know, there was corner stores, but man, you didn't want to eat that food, you know, but we ate it because that's all there was. But it wasn't any, there was a fruit stand, but there wasn't any fruit there. Now, if you want to call Mad Dog 2020 a fruit, I mean, you know, they might have some fruit in there, but I mean, it didn't have anything.
Well, can I say, because I was about to actually say that too.
Yes.
There are two things they build in low income neighborhoods: fast food restaurants and liquor stores. Because I was about to actually say that too.
Yes.
And that's actually what we consume on a regular day-to-day basis, particularly ones who can't afford anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And we think that, I mean, because we don't know any better. Like Brother Mike Neal said, if you go to the other neighborhoods, the grocery stores there, like for me, I shop at Publix. Not because I'm too bougie or whatever, but you know, I like the variety of stuff there. And if I can get to if I take my time to go to a food, what do you call those? I cannot think of the word, just escaped me, but a place like a food market, a fruit market or one of those things, right? But again, there are people who don't have access. They don't have access to transportation to get to these places where they can eat better. And just like you said, Brother Mark, you know, I believe, and to add to what you said, I believe that this is by design, right? I think this is definitely by design. Let's give these people the absolute worst conditions, the worst environment, the worst food. Let's, compound that with stress. Let's compound that with relationship issues, all of those things to make people just not be able to survive, but yet we do. We have Dr. Karasay here. Hey, Dr. Karasay, we missed you last week, Sarah.
I missed you guys.
We're glad you're here. We see you have your hand raised. Please jump right on in.
So, the food swamp, I had never heard that before. That's interesting, the fake food. I know it's everywhere, but I'm gonna have to look out for that because that's something new. And I know something nefarious or something strange is going on somewhere here in Kansas City. So I'm going to have to look out for that. But here we have all of those things going on. The biggest issue in regards to the food desert, there is literally, let's see, this is 2023. I want to say 2019 was when a grocery store, and I mean a real grocery store, was finally built in the hood in Kansas City, Missouri. And I know that may even sound strange because there are a lot of grocery stores over there. But when I tell you that you walk into them and the smell is just putrid, you can smell the raw meat. You don't want to buy anything out of there. And so, but see, those are, like the brother said, that's when you can get to those with the public transportation, even just with the public transportation. One good thing about COVID is that now public transportation is free all around. So people can get to wherever they want to go or need to go within the city. However, if you come over to my area out north, the buses don't come out here. The buses don't come out here. It was just in 20. That's when you can get to those with the public transportation. Even 2016, maybe around the summer of 2016, where the Harley Davidson plant was out north. It closed in 2019. But they had a special bus that would actually come within the city and bring people to the plant. But that was it. But it wouldn't take you anywhere else out north. But anyway, back to the food issue. So people only had that option to get to those places, those awful grocery stores, when they could. But you have the convenience stores. Now, what the convenience stores would do is they would bring food in, and they would purposely bring in the foods that you could buy with WIC and the food stamps. And so what they would do is they would jack the prices up. So for people who are already marginalized, right? And there was nothing at all there is nothing in the law to stop them from doing this. So whereas, and actually if you Google this, you can see where this happens everywhere. And I'm sure it's happening in your cities. These foreigners come in and they do this. Strawberries may be $2.99 in your grocery store. But if you go to gentrified areas, those same strawberries are going to be $8.99. And there is no law protecting our people or anyone from this. And then you have, you put people in desperate situations because purposely and by design, even when they do get food, nutritious foods that they can buy, they jack the prices up, and then they only buy so many to create this chaos, to make sure that you get in and you buy it and you buy it fast. And so then it's gone. So then you're left to buy what they have left, and which comes with the poor nutrition and everything that comes behind that. But what happens is when your options are limited, along with having poor nutrition, the effects that has on your mental health. And then when you start to kick into survival mode, if you didn't have any, if you were hungry, let me say this, if you were hungry and I gave you $20, you would go and you would buy food. You would probably go to the grocery store, or it would be an option in your head to go to the grocery store and buy something so you can cook a meal, or just something that would be sensible. Well, if I gave a houseless person $20, because of their circumstances, and because that $20 may be the last money that they see for a week, a month, or whatever, they are going to make the decision for right then and right there, and use it for that immediate satisfaction and that immediate need. And of course, that choice may not always be good. And again, it's going to repeat that cycle of making the decision that it's not good, nutrition-wise, which just feeds into the cycle of poor mental health and on down to their kids. Because, ADHD in children has been linked to poor magnesium levels, and so forth and so on. So it just the issues that come with food and nutrition alone is just, it's so bad. It's so bad. It just goes far beyond being hungry and how it affects our people. And it's you just look at areas that may be food deserts, or where the price gouging and things like that are going on. But you have to look deeper, and you have to ask why, systemically, why, so it can change. Because the answer is not always teaching people how to eat. That is a big part of it, because then from down south, I didn't grow up knowing how to eat. I grew up eating like I was from Alabama. But of course, that had to change once I became diabetic, And, it should have changed. I should have known. I should have been taught that way. No shade to my aunts and all of them. But on my father's side, diabetes ran rampant in that side of the family. We had leg amputations and so forth and so on. But they still ate the way that they ate. But I wasn't taught any different. And then they weren't taught any different. So it wasn't until I got older and got out of that environment. And that's coming from someone who had access to all of the best things. Mm-hmm. But then you talk about someone who doesn't. So yes, there are people who need that education, but then there are those who don't have any other option, whether it's out of desperation or it's, again, by design, because they are purposely not given those options. And then also here we're trying to teach people how to use the land, those abandoned buildings, those abandoned parking lots that are out there. You're out there, you're squatting in them, turn them into gardens, learn to plant things. And they're starting to do it now. They're starting to learn now. But again, if you don't teach people and give them options outside of what the government gives them, because the government wants us so badly to depend on them for every single thing. And we just have to get out of that mindset, and it's incumbent upon us to first set the example, because I know I'm trifling about it myself. I make myself plant peppers and greens and all of that. I do. I have to start with me so that I can go and teach the houseless community how to do that as well. And I'm so glad we did. We started this about a year ago because these food prices are crazy. And one other thing I wanted you guys to pay attention to is that the state of California has about it has a large, I'll be forever trying to remember the acreage, but it has a very large acreage of farms, and it's flooded. It has flooded. So I want you guys to look that up and pay attention to the food prices.
Oh my goodness. I'm glad you shared that, Sarah. Thank you for sharing that information. That's going to be something that I know for me, I'm going to look at, because I'm always thinking, like, I'm always just kind of watching and seeing what's going on and wondering how it's going to affect us. Brother Hatim, he had his hand raised real quick because I know he had a question, and probably particularly pertaining to what you just brought up, Dr. Karasay. Brother Hatim? Yes, we can. Thank you. Thank you. Brother Mark, you're up next.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I want to add something to what Doc was saying.
Okay.
About the price gouging. So I've learned this term. It's called price setting and price gouging. It's only gouging if one or two people in the area are actually doing it beyond the levels of anybody else. What these people do is they actually set the same price levels, so it's not considered gouging.
So are you saying that they all get together, maybe have a conversation?
They have conversations. Because you'd be surprised how many people actually work together. Like, look at gas stations. You could be in one town where gas is like 10 cents cheaper, but in the town that you live in, you notice that all the gas prices are all actually the same or within a penny of each other. They've had conversations. Let's keep it this way, so now nobody can say we're trying to get over on anybody and we all win.
And it sounds like there's a concerted effort for those people to work together. And I think that for us, that's what I would like to see. I would like to see us work together. Like Sister Dr. Karen said, she's beginning to do her own gardening, maybe in a small micro level, but she's beginning to do her gardening and then share that information with other people. It wouldn't hurt for us to consider, in my opinion, it wouldn't hurt for us to consider maybe growing tomatoes and seeing how successful if you eat tomatoes.
Buy this car
and then seeing maybe growing peppers, or maybe
guys.
growing something that you can actually eat, herbs.
And we're
something
seeing
like
it so
that,
much that we start believing these lies. But the truth
see
is,
success in it, and then be like, okay,
the makeup they're selling to make you feel prettier, the same makeup you buy to stop feeling shittier about this lie they keep telling you that you are not enough.
That's my classmate.
What's your classmate?
And what about the movies we watch and shows on TV? The more I watch, the more I see. I need you to complete me.
Hey, Coon. Yeah, I see my family over there.
And yes, love is the answer, love is the key, but if you can't love yourself, how will you ever love me?
To be my soror. Hi, lady. Hi, everyone.
And loving yourself, what does that even mean?
No
like
worries,
massages and selfies and that sort of thing? Because the more I think about it, the more it feels weird.
No,
I've always been taught that
Tuskegee.
self-love was something to be feared. I've been taught that arrogance is bad and vanity is not good, and even my bracelets are telling me to act how Jesus would. So what should I do?
That's right.
How should I act?
Y'all, guess what?
I'm supposed to love myself, but how do I even do that?
For the last couple of weeks, it's
I got a trick that I picked up from a friend who noticed that I was quick to defend her when she would say something negative about herself.
4 ladies, so yeah.
She would say, I'm
so can I add something else too? I want to say
yes, please.
So
She'd
I
say,
have
I'm
a
so weak,
young
and I'd
lady
say, you're
that's
so
close to us who went
resilient.
to Silicon Valley.
And when she said, I feel
about a
ugly,
year
I
ago.
said, you look beautiful.
And she
She
told me a
asked
very
me why
interesting
I was so
story.
dutifully
I'm talking
filling
about
up her
how
cup
we-
constantly, and yet
restaurants are
treating my
feeding out
own
in
cup
areas.
so irresponsibly.
She said the whole time she's there, she never saw a fast food restaurant. She said she never saw anything was
Because
considered
when I
bad
looked in the mirror,
food
my
for
voice
you
was
to
quite
eat.
clear. You're ugly, you're too thin, your hair
So
lines
once
receding,
it
you got a
it
pimple
goes
on
to
your
the
chin.
demographics of how
And
we
that was
actually
when
determine what
she gave me a
happens
piece of
happens in
advice
our
that
neighborhood.
changed my life.
Right.
She gave me a hug.
And so if we were to think about it, and thank you for sharing that,
And she
Mark,
said,
help me
treat
to
yourself
help us,
like
because
someone you
I feel
love.
like our goal is to
Treat
bring
yourself
health to our
like
people.
someone
What
you love.
can we do?
Now,
What-
I had been standing, but I
just
needed to be
with what
sitting
we
because I
have in
couldn't
our
believe
hands
that I had
today,
been
what
letting
can
myself
we
keep forgetting
do
that I
about
was
any
who I'd
of
been
this
looking
that's
for.
going on? If we were to brainstorm some solutions,
And deep in
what-
my core, I knew it was
what
time to
can
stop
we
looking
do?
for more until I could look
So
through
with-
all my
with
fear and look
restaurants and-
into a
and
mirror
things in
and
your
see
neighborhood,
clearly that the man
when
looking
your
back at
county
me was the only
councils or
one who
your city
can make
councils
me
having
happy,
meetings,
and I am
you have to attend
already
these meetings when they're
enough.
trying to bring these certain things into your neighborhood. You can actually vote these things down. I
And
chair
I
the
am
zoning
not
board
any
for
more
the city of
special
Manning for
or
about
unique
17
than
years
you.
now.
That is why I'm
One
here
of
to
the things
speak
that I
to
always
you.
tell people when
You
certain things
are
occurring
already
or votes
enough.
coming up, we listen to the
And
community.
when you start to see that,
Doesn't
you
matter
will start
what
to
actually
be that.
we do
Your
listen to what
world
the law
will get
says, but we
brighter,
also
your
listen
load
to
will
the
get
community.
lighter, and you can see
If
that
you don't
with
want
life,
anything
you
in
can
the
be a
community, you
lover,
have to come
not a
see
fighter.
what it
And
is.
that life,
But 90% of the
deserve it.
time, we don't show up to meetings and actually
Because
express those
you
feelings. So you're only hearing one
worth
side of the story.
and there is no point in letting
And I
yourself
think to
keep forgetting because no matter
and you're
what
exactly
you say
right. And
or
I think
do,
to Dr. Kara
are
Say's point, that it is
And so today, I hope I leave you with a
that
direction,
it is
correction away
something
from the flaws
that
you see in
we,
your reflection. They aren't flaws
you
to
know,
me; they are simply
It's
protected.
intentional.
and it's intentional. We have so many other things that we're worried about. We're worried about, where we're living. You know, is this a safe place? Is this a secure place? We're worried about our children. We're worried about our spouse or non-spouse or our relationship status. We're worried about transportation. So like, who has time if you're working, you know, not just 9 to 5, but if you're working the middle shift, and I'm not sure what that time frame is, but if you're working, you know, who has the time to set aside to go to a meeting? You know, when, and let me tell you something else I read in terms of how things aren't divvied out fairly. So for us, for people who look like us, for those people who are marginalized, if you needed to say, go to a doctor, that could be an all day event. So you'd have to take the day off to go to the doctor because that's an all day event. And so you would consider scheduling all of your appointments on that particular day so that it could be beneficial to you. Whereas to other communities, people who are well off, people who are melanated or melanemic, those are 2 words, you might want to hold on to those. But, you know, those people who don't look like us, it may just be during a lunchtime visit, right? So, you know, someone who isn't Black may could just go to the doctor during their lunch hour, take an hour, and their appointment is taken care of. Whereas for us, if you got to find somebody to get you, you know, find somebody to give you a ride to get there, and then you have to wait, you know, the waiting is endless. Who knows how long you have to wait? I remember as a kid, it would take an entire day for us to go to the community clinic because we didn't have a regular doctor to go to. You know what I mean? And it was 3 of us. So we had to sit there and wait, and you know, things just aren't fair. What are some solutions, you guys? We want to, you know, again, connect our conversation to the community. We want to bring health to our people. What are some solutions?
Well, one thing I know when it comes to these city and county meetings, because of COVID, they're now offering virtual parts of their meetings. But they only offer the virtual parts of the meetings if you ask for virtual. Oh. If no one actually asks for virtual, they're not going to just outright offer it to you. You have to have a group saying we need to have a virtual part of this meeting to be so we can have access to the meetings.
That's a good point. I'm going to write that one down.
And then whenever you do these meetings, stop having 20 people speak at a meeting. Find 3 people to be your spokesman that actually can address things in the right, proper manner. A lot of times when we get in these meetings, it turns into us being bitter and fussing at the ones in charge or in these meetings. And actually your message you're trying to relay to them gets lost. Because now you got to have people of calm nature when they're speaking on behalf of stuff.
So you know, just a little side note, I'm not sure if you guys know of Eric Mays. He's this man that's done went viral. So are you telling me we can't have Eric Mays in the meetings?
I mean, you can, but you got to know what you're going to expect.
I ain't got no tail, girl.
Like I said, in the years I've been doing this, when people come in there and you're more or less trying to fuss at us, you have no point. You have to have a point when you're actually addressing people with something you want to have taken care of.
So we have a solution of attending the meetings, having requesting virtual access to those meetings if you cannot make it. Brother Spence, hey.
What's happening? What's happening?
Hi.
Hey, Spence.
What's happening, y'all? Yeah.
What's up, bro?
What's going on with y'all?
So we are in the middle of our conversation about, first, of course, we started off talking about food combining. And then, of course, the conversation always leads down to other portions of conversations. And so we're talking about, you know, not only food deserts within our community, but Brother Mike Neal, who had to leave, he mentioned the term food swamp. And what he said a food swamp is, okay, so you may have these corner stores that have things there, and Dr. Karasay mentioned the same thing, but they may not be things that you want. So it could be a bananas or, you know, anything that is, you know, decent for us. So right now we're talking about, you know, the ills, but then what are some solutions? Because I know this is something that Brother Mike Neal wanted us to continue to talk about, and then see how we could advocate for these. and then help to place them in our community. Dr. Karasay.
So piggybacking on something that and I'm sorry, I don't, let me look over here. Brother in the pink shirt. What is it that sits on the city council?
Yes.
Zoning board.
The zoning board. Okay. So I'm glad you said that, because that is so important, is getting involved with the local government and with the state governments, but of course it starts locally. But I just thought about something. Being a military spouse, one thing that I learned is that the military only allows certain restaurants and food establishments to host. And that is for the same reasons that we are speaking right now. If you notice, you've never seen, at least I haven't, unless something has changed, I've never seen a McDonald's on any military post where I've ever. It's out of country, in country, anywhere. They're Burger King. And then if you pay attention,
yes,
their menu is not the same as the ones on the street. And I'll tell you why, and that is because Burger King grills their meat. And one thing about it is that Burger King beef is actually beef. And then you notice that more often than not, military post is always going to have a Subway, or it's going to have some sort of deli, which one is popular in your area, but here Subway is, and that's because it offers you real meat, or at least the ones that are going to be on post are going to be the meat. I know that there's some kind of controversy going on right now with Subway and their tuna or whatever, but you have the options of the fresh vegetables and all of that. But that's another indication about the restaurants in your area. If you're near a military post, if the government will not feed it to its soldiers on a mass scale, then you don't need to be eating it.
Dr. Karasay, I wanted to ask a question. I just can't really wrap my head around this. Are you saying that they are feeding the military different than ordinary people? Like there's no McDonald's, and I'm wondering why. Hold on one second. Brother Hatem, yes, sir. Because I know that he had a question to add to. Brother Hatem?
Yep.
Very, very loud.
Are you sharing it from somewhere, Brother Hatem? Are you sharing this from somewhere? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. It's on your page on Facebook? Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw you off subject. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Brother Hatem. All right, Dr. Karasay, you were saying that, which I cannot believe. I mean, I know that it's true, but I just didn't imagine that there was not a McDonald's on the military base, although I don't think I've ever been on a military base, but that Burger King is there. And there are other fast food restaurants there, but the food is real food. and not those.
Okay, let me be careful about the language, because I don't want to say that they are feeding soldiers differently than how they feed us, because I can't define who they
exactly, yes,
or is. Okay, what I will say is that the military only allows certain restaurants on military posts because of the nutritional value of the food that's there. Of course, our soldiers have to stay in tip-top shape. And with, military posts are their own cities. They're their own government. They're their own entities. That is no different than what we have. So if the military can make the decisions to say that this is what we want here, because this is what is best for our citizens, then that is the same thing that needs to happen in our towns. Because just as you can say that we don't want this strip club on this corner, we don't want this store on this corner, you can say the same thing about these restaurants. And you can also say, negotiate and say, okay, well, if you're going to bring this restaurant here, then how else are you going to help the community? Are you going to give our teenagers jobs during the summer so they aren't running around here being crazy, when school is over? Or are you going to pay livable wages according to our standard of living here? Like, what else are you bringing to the table? You just don't get happy that just because someone is bringing something new to your area and then feel as though, and then don't demand your seat at the table. I hate that phrase, but so many people use it, but don't stake your claim or say what it is that you want as a result of them being there. And then you wonder why these entities can come over and just take over your city. And then you're upset with them when they do things you don't like. But then at that point, it's too late because they own everything at this point.
It sounds to me,
off of you, everybody there has a job. So why are you going to be mad at them now? Because then they'll just leave and go somewhere else, and then or they'll threaten to leave, and then everybody there is left unemployed. So that's why you have to do these things on the front end and show up to those meetings and say, okay, well, if you guys allow these companies to come, then this is because they're coming for a reason. Understand that of all of these places in all of the world that they can be, there is a reason why they want to come to your area. And so you need to think about that. And then make sure that they're offering insurance, because it's ridiculous that Walmart can come to an area and purposely only hire people to work 30 hours so they never meet that 32 or 40-hour threshold, so they have to pay them insurance. So that's how they get over. These are multi-billion-dollar companies and corporations, but they know the tax code, they know how to get over, and they don't do anything to help our communities. But we just let them in. And we don't think anything about it. And also, to that point is we have to also take this to the state legislatures. And because they make the laws, they are the ones that say, okay, it is okay by this law and yada, yada, that they can actually be here. And that ties into the virtual appointments that the brother brought up about healthcare, because that's something that, and we didn't win, but that's something that we've been trying to fight this session in Kansas, because they wanted to do away with and then limit the virtual appointments because, and I understand these are politicians, these are not doctors, and that just really irks my soul when you have people who have no experience in the medical field making decisions about healthcare. I mean, we literally have a man who did the weather that talks about masks and COVID. And I swear, if you go to YouTube, you will just see me on that floor. I go at him all the time. It drives me crazy.
Wait a minute. Where is this going to be, SRR? Let us write this down. YouTube, what?
Well, the Kansas legislature, and I'm pretty sure your state does too, but all of the legislative sessions, as well as all of the committee meetings, are on YouTube. So you can actually go to you. Well, I'm hoping you can, but I know for Kansas and Missouri, I can log on to YouTube and I can find out who is voting against Medicaid expansion. I can look in the committee meetings and I can see who is voting to put the NRA Eddie Eagle program in my child's school to teach them about how to use guns and all of this kind of stuff. So I'll know who not to vote for. During that cycle. All of this is public information, again, that our people don't know about. But of course, they aren't going to say this. These politicians are not going to say this when it's time to run. They will tell you anything when it's time to get out there on the campaign trail, or they're just flat out liar, act like they don't know anything. But you can be like, no, I have you on video right here saying that women have a way to block their uterus if they don't want to get pregnant, and so therefore they don't need to have access to birth control, or that's why we don't need to have virtual appointments, and that they need to come into the doctor. But the reason behind that is one, they didn't want to spend the money to expand Medicaid. They want to take that money and for various things. I want to put that out there, but they want to put that money into other things. But also they want to be all inside your uterus and your ovaries and all of these things. So you have to come in and actually see a doctor if you want certain medications. Okay, if you know where I'm going, or any kind of medications, you don't have to do that. We do not have to look at you. We don't have to do that to prescribe certain medications. That's not anything new. We've been doing virtual appointments for so long, via military, via the prison system. I have so many incarcerated patients, and I can not tell you how many I've seen ever face. I mean, I have seen them face to face, but when you compare it to the ones that I've seen virtually, and I'm not talking about because of COVID. So, but because they have an agenda, now it's the problem. So again, when it comes to the virtual appointments and just having options, understand that you control the narrative. You may not, those things may not come to your mind that I spoke of, but if it's something that you want and something that makes your life easier, then you deserve to have the people that you put in these appointed positions to speak about it, and then to be heard about it. And then if those things don't happen, then you just simply say, well, we're going to seek out doctors who will. And just let that be the end of it.
One question. What was the last word you said, doctor? You said we would seek out doctors
who will, doctors who, because if you don't, or tell when it comes to, so if they have a problem with virtual appointments, then you just say, well, then you tell your doctor, well, this isn't a good fit for me. I think I'm going, because if I'm going to be here all day, then I might as well just take the time to drive an hour to the next city to see a doctor, and I only have to be there 30 or 45 minutes, and I can get back home because I have still spent less time making that drive to see them than I have spent here all day with you. But what that does is that makes that doctor now say, this doctor that has this privilege, this doctor that is connected to these legislators and these other people in the community, these doctors that have these businesses here, these doctors that are connected to the pharmaceutical companies and all of the big money and all of these lobbyists and so forth and so on, the ones who show up at these meetings to say, listen, you hurting my pockets. And if my patients want virtual appointments, you better get my patients virtual appointments. And
all right, family. You can post up your questions and comments.
You guys, I love this, and I love you all
questions and
sharing
comments.
this information. Right? We have, thank you, Dr. Karazay. We have Brother Spence who had his hand up. Are you here still?
Yep. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, right on. Hold on. Okay, so first of all, I just want to thank you for the privilege of being on the phone with so many smart people. You know, that's just an amazing opportunity for me. And getting back to the food piece, which is, you know, so huge, what we're talking about, you know, I always say this, Dr. K, and I think, I know you'll agree with me, and y'all have heard me complain about this before, but less than 15% of U.S. medical schools have nutrition as a requirement. WTF, people? Like, what in the world? They wouldn't even give you a master's in automotive engineering without making you study fuel systems. Yet they out here handing out whole doctorates to people who never spent 5 minutes studying how food affects the human body. And I think that's huge. And Doc is right. They don't have. Fair. That's fair. No doubt. That's fair. That's fair as hell. Dr. K was absolutely on point when she said that there is no McDonald's on base as a former Marine. She's absolutely right. But here's something else I wanted to dive a little deeper. Anybody who's going to boot camp will tell you, not only do they control your diet, they control your portions. I think that's freaking huge. You know, so when I was going when I was going through recruit training in San Diego, I think we guesstimated Chow Hall was about 3/4 of a mile away. And that was on purpose. So we either marched or ran to the Chow Hall and then marched back. So by the time we get done eating, we got 1.5 miles on our system just to get to the food, just to get there. Okay, and every rip, they making us walk that thing off a half hour immediately. I don't mean get to it. I'm talking about immediately. Get up, go outside, line up, and we are on it. We marching. You know, we taking that home. So they control. So you don't get to go up there and self-serve. You go to the line. They got a spoon. They hit you with the spoon, and you keep it moving. You eat what they give you, and you gone. So that's huge. And then 2, on the military tip, it messes with your money. You have to look a certain way in the U.S. military uniform. Have you ever noticed you ain't never seen no fat boy in no United States military uniform? You ain't seen no fat dude in no uniform? It doesn't happen. It's a thing. That this isn't Spence Gould talking. Like, if you are in that uniform and you looking unsat, it's gonna go up the chain. Your squad leader, hey, look, you're gonna do a couple pushbacks. Okay, you're gonna skip the dessert line. You're gonna get it squared away. If he can't get with you, your platoon is gonna get with you. If by the time he gets to somebody that got bars on their soldier, on their collars, by the time he gets to an officer, you got like a set amount of time to drop weight and to look the way they need you to look, or it's going to impede your ability to get promoted. Same thing with the PFTs, with the physical fitness tests. You have to prove to them that you are physically fit. You ain't finna be leading no military troops if you can't pull your weight. If you can't lead them. And I remember in recruit training, this officer, he was a major, and I fell back on the run. And he ran up behind me and he tapped me on my shoulder and he said, "How are you going to lead me?" And he took off on my ass. So for the rest of the run, I'm looking at his back. Okay. And he was much older, you know what I mean? But I mean, he was there. He was trim. He was, he just did pull-ups all day. So it's just in your face. It's all the time. It's a standard. You'll be ostracized. You'll be made fun of. They don't apologize for making fun of you if you fat in the military. You're going to get that heat. You're going to get them jokes. You're going to get that smoke. So Dr. K was absolutely right. So it's not just about your options. It's about the culture.
So I wonder then, number one, today we're quick to cancel people for things that they do, say, or how they look. Why then? and this may be taking us a little off track, but why are we a little more lenient in terms of not holding, I guess, ourselves and other members of the community accountable for our appearance, our weight, and things of that nature? Could that be?
Yeah, Dr. Jackson, I think that's huge. And I want to get to Brother Hetton, but I want to answer a question real quick, and then I'll yield the floor. I think you love what you see, Dr. Jackson. You know, if Big Mama big, how you not gonna love big women? If grandmama a big woman, how you gonna shame a black woman? If your mama big, how you gonna shame a big woman? You gonna love what you see all day, every day. So we love who we're around. So we not gonna not love Big Mama. We not gonna love our mama. So if we got these people who don't look like us telling us our mama is wrong, we're gonna be like, fuck them. Do the doubt. So I'm sorry, I just want to go ahead, Brother Hatim. I want to go ahead and add that in.
I want to apologize to people out there. We're gonna be acting a little bit. Y'all gonna post your comments up in the thing because I got to get this off. Now, getting back to the diet piece, because you're supposed to do the food combining, and we supposed to look at this pyramid, and we got into talking about the food desert and the food swamp. Yeah, and all that is beautiful. And then Dr. Carissa brought up some points that fit right in, and it kind of took us off. And then Brother Spence came in with something else, but all of it fits together. And because what Dr. Carissa was talking about, at least I'm picking up, is that we are getting into our communities colonists, for lack of a better word, because we don't control, because we in a sense live in an occupied area, we are not able to determine what comes into our community. And because we're not politically active, we can't control what type of foods are coming in and what type of foods are going out. So we are at the disposal of other people, so they could put unhealthy choices in our communities and we have no say so. Now, what Brother Spence brought up that kind of plugs into what we're talking about is in the military, they used to have to work for their food. Now, we don't have to work. See, human beings, we were designed to have to work for our food. If we don't have to move for our food, if we don't have to do everything that we, in a sense, are designed to do, we will start getting fat and getting unhealthy and start eating foods in high sugar because it's almost hereditary for us. Sugar is a quick energy boost. So I'm looking for quick energy, so I'm going to eat this food. And we have all of this sugar and all these unhealthy choices available for us, and we got to practice the discipline to get it. Now, in the military, you have to march to your food and march away from your food. It wasn't just the Marines that was a quarter of a mile away from the cafeteria. Most of them, especially during basic training, you have to, when you get up for breakfast, before you even eat breakfast, you got PT. From PT, then you go and eat. And then if you don't eat fast enough, you're going to get just what's on your plate. Right? So
you're
now,
done.
in our community now.
Right, they got the clock to you. Absolutely. Right. They got the clock on you.
I figured out how to beat the clock. But now in our community, what we have people with the ability to eat at will. You don't have to earn your food. You get food because you deserve it. Right? You get food because you deserve it. So I can eat these chips even though I have done absolutely no work for these chips. You know what I'm saying? I have done no preparation for these chips. So this fits into that whole food combination piece, and this fits into the African heritage diet. But one of the pieces that I also wanted to add to the conversation is some of us learning how to do intermittent fasting. If we can't work out, we can at least fast for a period of time and eat in between certain periods of time so that our body can process the food that we have so that we can stay healthy. I'm done.
So can you, I want you to speak a little bit more to that. Can you maybe define what intermittent fasting is? Because it's, from what I think intermittent fasting is, I think that is very much connected to our topic of food combining to a degree. Because food combining is making sure that you don't mix this food with that food for the best, most optimal absorption of all of the nutrients. Making sure that you don't mix this.
No, you listening to yourself. I'm trying to check the sound.
Oh, I was like, who is she?
Ain't nobody whispering in my ear. I'm just trying to make sure. All right.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
So
intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is where you take breaks. Basically, you don't eat for a certain period of time. Like, for example, breakfast is called breakfast because you break the fast as from when you went to sleep and when you woke up. What if you extended that by 2 hours? So instead of eating right when you wake up, maybe extend it 2 hours. So if you get up and you usually eat breakfast about 7:30, 8 o'clock, why not 9:30, 10 o'clock? Especially if you're trying to lose weight or especially if you're dealing with some health issues. Now, what happens is this builds up stress in your system, right? And if you take no sugars in, you could possibly jumpstart this thing called ketosis, where your body will start burning fat and burning some of the unhealthy stuff that you had going through you the day before. See, I don't necessarily, I eat fish, but I don't eat meat. But I don't tell people not to eat meat. I'm not one of those. Don't eat pork. But I'm saying if you eat it, make sure that you earned it, right? Can you practice discipline and maybe not eat a breakfast and just eat a big lunch? And then maybe wait till later on later in the evening, early evening, and then eat a dinner. You understand what I'm saying? Because when you allow your body to do what it does, because your body got to get all of this food through. But this gets back to what Dr. Carissa is saying, is that we have to get politically active because a lot of these stores in our community only bring in junk. And they're allowed to do that. They're allowed to do that. Why? Because we are not politically active and we don't control our community. If you don't have borders, you don't have no goddamn community. If other people determine what your borders are, you don't have a community. You are occupied. And in most black communities in America are occupied. And we don't want to deal with that.
No, we're tenants.
Exactly.
But Hatem, can I underpin something?
I'm done. Go ahead.
What was the thing you said right before the occupied? What was? I mean, you blew me away with that. What did you think you said right before occupied?
He can't remember. He says that all the time.
All right, well, go ahead, Dr. Jackson. I'll remember in 30 seconds and I'll get back.
Oh, no worries. Brother Hatem did bring up some really, really great points about us living in within our communities. There you go.
I got it. What you were talking about with the meat eaters and everything like that, and to your point, I don't. It's this old joke that I love. It said the difference between meat eaters and vegetarian is that meat eaters don't give vegetarians shit about not eating meat. But that was just a little, just to add to the smiles. But to Brother Hatem's point, all day, because them things be good, right? But to Brother Hatem's point, every other meat eater on this planet earns that meat. Think about it. Cheetahs chase that gazelle down. Mm-hmm. And they eat it while the heart just got through pumping, while that iron is still in the blood, while it's still viable. And now something that's been sitting up in the refrigerator 2-3 days, that thing is still warm. You dig what I'm saying? Orcas and shark and all the meat-eating predators in the sea, they chase that seal down. They chase them fish down. What he said was this poetic. Every other meat eater earns that meat. Somehow, some way, they beat it down, they trap it, they chase it down, they do something, but they earn it. We are the only meat-eating species that has meat served to us. We're the only meat-eating species that can go someplace and get the meat that we want per our choice. The cheetah don't get to choose what it eats. It's getting the slowest. It's getting the slowest gazelle in the pack. You know what I'm saying? Sharks don't get to choose what they want. They getting the fish that can't outswim them. Orcas are getting the seal that can't get away from them quick enough. They're getting what's available. They're getting what's right now. And again, by the time it hits their stomach, I'd say the heart stopped beating no less than 2 to 5 minutes ago. So we're the only one that eats dead meat. Every other meat eater eats meat that is still viable, and the nutrients and everything that makes that animal viable is still in that system. We're the only species that eat dead meat. So I just wanted to just, be in Brother Hatim's Amen corner again.
Wow, you blew my mind. Woo. Please.
All right, so now as far as intermittent fasting, for those of us that are suffering with certain ailments, you can look up some of the studies that have looked into intermittent fasting and fasting, period. And you'll see that the body heals a lot better when we're fasting. And it's crazy that a lot of this stuff don't get out. We think that we always got to have a full stomach in order for us to operate. Most of us, just sitting right here right now, most of us in here, if an emergency situation hit, we have enough fat on our body to probably go 2 months. You probably wouldn't believe it, but it can be done. When people that are I recently read about a study where they did a study on mice that they gave chemotherapy to. When they regulated their diets and they had them do fasting periods, the mice healed faster from chemotherapy. Even if we take it to the camps that they had in Germany, a lot of those people that was in those concentration camps didn't get sick until after their fat reserves was burnt up. So we got to understand, we got periods where people have been going through and have been hungry and have actually been able to do better than people who were able to eat every day. We eat out of convenience, not out of hunger. Now, all that extra food that we're taking in becomes poison to our system. And then when you mix it in with the fact that we got the wrong food combinations and we're not eating food culturally appropriate for us, we are a seething tub of disease. I'm going to stop.
Please don't stop. I don't know, Brother Hatim, if you have the pictures, if there's a way that you could display the pictures, at least the last picture that I sent over, which was the African heritage diet. Do you have that? Yeah, I did. But don't, if you can't, because I'm not gonna sing a song, because if it's only gonna take you a minute, I think Dr. Karastay's hand is up, but it might have already been up. I don't know. But Dr. Karastay, Dr. Karastay, can you give us 2 minutes real quick before he pops on with our
let him go ahead.
It's up? No.
Are you on Facebook? If you see him on Facebook, I can see it on the page.
Now you know.
Did you hit share screen?
Dr. Jackson, you had to give him permission to screen share.
Tell me where to go.
It should just be right on
On
the
the screen, it should say screen share.
See down the bottom of your screen, it says screen share. And when you click it, it should say give permission. You got to relinquish your
what do I go to screen?
Screen share screen. Click it.
It was something easier last week. What did we do? I know, but
yep.
About the grassy screen. Bookmark.
Mike Neal did.
Mike Neal, because he has iPhone. We can't do it, but we did. Last week it was because last week security, record, chat, apps, meeting settings. Is it under there? New topic. Show name. Show. Where does it show?
What she gotta do is she click the screen thing and then get the permission.
I don't know. Look at me, my glasses. Well, you know. Keep talking, because no, I don't got it.
Man, I did all that and the people out in the crowd couldn't hear me. Anyway, so now we up to eggs, poultry, and meats, healthy meats, right? You know what I'm saying? And that means for you pork eaters, if you're going to eat pork, like I said, with all meats, make sure you earn it. And the meat should not be the major portion on your plate. If you travel anywhere on the continent, you're going to find meat eaters, but oftentimes meat is not the major part of the meal. And this is where a lot of us go wrong, right? Then the healthy oils. Like right now, in my newsletter, I got where I'm experimenting with palm kernel oil. You got palm oil. You got coconut oil. You got of course olive oil. You know what I'm saying? But I'm leaning towards the cultural pieces with the stuff that we use. From there you got the dairy. You know what I'm saying? Some of us are lactose intolerant. This is where some of the fermented type of dairies work for us better. Some yogurts we might find we might be able to stomach some type of yogurts and stuff like that, but it's on the top of the pyramid, which means we need less of it. And the last is the sweets. So we build from the bottom up, and of course on the side of the pyramid, we know we need to always drink our water. Drink your water, drink. But anyway, you got it yet, Doc? Oh my God. Okay. All right. So I ain't gonna be. Is there another way I could share? Is there another way?
I don't know, but last week it was so much easier.
Yeah, because you had I told you about them Apple phones. I don't deal with those apples.
Everybody on here has Apple phone except you.
Well, then they should be able to tell you.
Look. So I'm the only one. I'm the only one with an Apple phone. Okay. All right.
So there's no share screen on your thing.
No.
So there's no 3 buttons on the side that you could push.
No. No. But it's okay. It's okay. We're not gonna worry about that right now, because I think that what you said was very poignant.
So Doc, when you send your stuff out through the messenger, just put the slides on there.
That's what I'll do.
Everybody can actually see them for themselves.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was.
I'll email them.
That's what I was gonna do. All right. So it looks like the time is like almost 8:20, and we usually close around this time. So before we go, I'm not sure if there's anyone who had anything else that they kind of wanted to share that was burning on their heart. If so, please, if you don't mind going ahead and sharing with us, and then we're going to have Brother Mark to kind of give us a word of dismissal until not next Sunday, because next Sunday is Easter Sunday, but until the Sunday afterwards. We're going to have a guest speaker in, Brother Mike Neal, and he's a community activist, just like Dr. Kara say, just like Brother Spence. Very, very, very involved. Brother Hatem, Brother Mark and Sister Kathy, like all of us, actually. He's very involved in the community, and he's going to share with us some connections, some ways in which we can become more involved in the communities in which we live. He's up north, and I know some of us are down south here. Brother Smith, I think you're kind of East Coast, maybe? Yep.
I'm in ATL.
Okay, ATL. So how we can connect, in other words. But with all of that, is there anyone that has anything that they want to share before we are, before we depart?
Okay, I'll jump out and jump first. Thank you guys so much for just coming through. I love these. I love stuff chats. I hate when I'm on my schedule, won't allow me to miss. So I think it's huge what Dr. K said again about the post, but I also wanted to point out that you guys will notice you don't see nutritionally vacant, greasy spoon or cheap restaurants in rich neighborhoods. If y'all peep that, the nicer the neighborhood, the less food foolishness you're going to see, because they know, and they're not feeding their kids that crap. And the poorer the neighborhood, the more greasy spoon you're going to see. And I get in trouble a lot. We were talking about the military thing, but I get in trouble a lot with the clergy because they think I'm body shaming. But I said, I often say, I would not follow an out of shape preacher. And that's because I was thinking about what you said, Doc, Stephanie, about, we talked about Big Mama, but, again, if Pastor Big, if he's a big dude and we love Pastor, we don't see nothing wrong with that, But I've gotten a lot of, trouble with my preacher friends, and I have a friend, he's a wonderful minister, just blesses a lot of lives, and he does the stuff, when someone loses somebody, you know, in their family, he's the first one there. You know, he does all the ugly stuff that a lot of preachers don't like to do. But I told him all the time, I said, dude, I couldn't join your church because, you know, I can't. I said, when you get to talking about moderation and discipline, I can't take you seriously. You know? And like when we talk about, and I go straight to the book, and just so he in language that he can relate to. I'm like, if it were time to put on the whole armor of God, how am I going to fit that thing on you?
Okay, see,
how am I going to fit that thing on? Or if like you know, or I just break it open. I'm like, okay, dude, come on, let's come on. It's a rapture today, right now. Jesus pops up right now and say, hey, you, and you. It's some demons right there. I need y'all to take that hill. How you go? And you know, it's like that major. How you gonna lead me up that hill, bruh? What you gonna do? It's time for us to go up this hill and slay some demons. How you gonna run up this hill with me and slay some demons? What's up? I don't want no. If I'm going into a fight with some dudes, I want somebody with some hands who can go 12 rounds with me, because I can go 12 rounds. If I'm going up, you know, if I'm going with Brother Bellamy, if I'm going with Brother Hatem, they know they got 12 rounds in me. I don't want nobody up in there who ain't got half a round. So it's a lot of acceptance in our spirit, and health is a spirit. Okay, and there's a lot of acceptance of lack of health in our spiritual training centers. So that's why we see a lot of health. And Dr. K, have you noticed this, Dr. K? I'm gonna drop this on your desk, right? And I'm saying this because I'm vying for a spot in medical school. And I promise after this, I'm gonna shut up. Check this out, Dr. K.
No, say it, because that's where I was going with it. Bring it.
Check it out. Check it out, right? It's MD, MBA programs. It's MD, JD programs. You can be a doctor and a lawyer. It's MD, PhD programs. How come in the United States it's not one MD, MDiv program?
You say MD in what?
MD, MDiv. You can't. No, there's no medical religion joint degree program. There's no spiritual medical education program. Not one in the States. There's nobody teaching you how to heal the body and train the spirit in the same academic program space.
Wow.
Well, you
can't. All right, so I'm done. I love y'all. I love this space. I'm gonna be here every Sunday that I can. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for blessing me and making me think and challenging me and you know, and making me better.
Whoa.
Well, you know, to that I'll say, I personally wouldn't trust it if I did see it, because that encompasses so much. And to allow a system that has created this bogus, you have to go through 12 years of school and then 4 years of that and 8 years of that, and all of these things to my body as a Black woman, to come up with your medications and all of these things. And now you want to come up with a curriculum that involves spirituality, which again is my true nature. So I already know, I just see all kinds of Black women in the lab already now being experimented on, trying to come up with this entire piece. Anyway, I don't even want to go there. I don't trust it. I wouldn't even trust it. But what I will say is, I would say that it's not a program, but I do know that there are people who teach it. And I'm so glad you said that, because also, Brother Hatem, I do intermittent fasting. I've been doing it for years. I only eat between 12 and 8. And sometimes I cut that down between 2 and 8. And the biggest thing that, and I promise y'all I'll be short, the biggest thing that I think that people, especially us, that we have lost is the fact that food is spiritual, and it always has been spiritual, and we have lost that connection. There's food that has a spiritual and an energetic purpose. Everything that you eat has a purpose for your body, going back, you know, to the food combining and things like that, but there's so much more behind that. And when you just think about why people eat the way they eat, And then what comes behind that, you have people with emotional issues and abuse issues. And of course, they go and they do the emotional eating. And then you have people with other addictive behaviors, and then they do that as well. And then you also have people who eat food for certain reasons because they activate, the pleasure regions and the sexual parts of our brains and our beings. But that is for a reason, and that is because food naturally and inherently is spiritual and it is energetic. And when you just think back spiritually, and I want you guys to just, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the term scorched earth and really know where that comes from, because we were not, African Americans, Black people, whatever you want to call yourselves, this just like the education system and that whole K through 12 thing, this whole breakfast, lunch, and dinner idea, that was not us. We did not come up with that. And it's just simply not, it's just not true. And so it's not something that you have to do to survive. And I'm not trying to say that if you do it, you're gonna die. But what I'm saying is that food has always been used to control us. And so scorched earth came about because the colonizers, and I want to say it was out of Egypt or Kenya, but they went over and they burned the land and they killed the livestock so that they could control the environment, so that they can start producing and then making the natives there produce the food that they wanted to eat and then sell. And so then that changed our diet. And so not only did it change our diets, because we would wake up and, like Brother said, eat breakfast because that would break the fast from at night. But then we would go out and we would work. Everyone had their job. And then we would have a very big meal in the morning. And then that would last us throughout the day. We would work all day. Everyone in that tribe had their own particular mission, their own particular job. And then you would not eat until the end of the day. And then after that, that's that fast. And, the end of the day back then was like 6 o'clock. It was at the end. Well, it would be 6 o'clock now. I'm just throwing it out there. But throwing a time out there that's not exact. But it was when the sun went down. And so after that, you fasted. There was no grabbing some food and then laying down and going to sleep. And, and watching the TV or doing whatever. But none of that existed. And that is because food served its purpose. And now we just don't do that. We've lost our connection. And so the purpose that food serves for us now is always something unhealthy. If you think about it, when you get upset, just think about what you used to do as a little girl. If you have bubble gum in your mouth, or you go get your Cheetos, Lord knows I did it. I just sit up there and gnaw on some gum, and I'm just, if I'm upset about something, because the crunch, just what it does, it activates, or it enhances that anger feeling. When you're feeling sexy, you're feeling sensual, you buy chocolate. But I mean, and that's, all of those things are proven. That's what happens with the body. Red foods, tomatoes and peppers and things like that, they make your body hot. It increases your metabolism. When you think about food and the energy and the things that it gives off, it has a purpose. And even if you look it up, food has its plants and things have their own tones that we cannot hear. And so it's living, it's energy, it's there. It's not just a slab of meat. It's not just a lettuce, a piece of lettuce or something that's on a plate. But all of that is a part of our heritage and our culture that we lost, because food has been a way for them to control us. And so when we knew that we were getting fed at a particular time, then we would, it forced us to produce. And then they changed our diet to make sure that when we produce, that then later on, we also became consumers of what we produced, because we weren't eating all of the grains, because it changed the agriculture. Again, which came with the scorched earth principle. They burned our vegetation and our soil, and then they killed all of our livestock. Then they came in with the rice and the grains and all of those things. I don't want to say grains, but the things like the rice and the other things. And then we started consuming all of those things, which just caused all kinds of havoc on our body. And now we have diabetes. and heart disease and all of these other things. But there's just an emptying and a healing of the body that happens. Also, spiritually, there is a connection that happens when your body is empty, and it's also called mindfulness as well. And you have to be in a place to where you are empty, as I call it, and understand that those cravings are not about being hungry. It just simply means an absence or void. And it's your body trying to tell you that something is missing. And it's not always a hamburger. That's not it. It may be an emotional need that needs to be there. It may be a vitamin that needs to be there. But if you're not listening to your body, or your go-to is to always go and grab something out of the refrigerator, or you're just out in the street in convenience, and then you just go and you just grab a bag of chips, then that is how this whole system and this whole circus just starts to perpetuate and just goes on and on and on and on. But I don't want to go all into that, but it's just we have to examine the relationship that we have with food, also to be able to break why we do what we do, and then to break the cycle, and then learn and create better habits behind it. So, but yeah, intermittent fasting is great. I know people who just eat during the day, because there is no specific time. 12 to 8 just works for me. So I would encourage everyone to do intermittent fasting. And of course, you have to be mindful of what you eat, because when you break the fast or during that window of time, because I know people who only eat 4 hours, they will give themselves like between 11 and 5, or 4, 6, or 7 hours out of the day. But that doesn't mean that you go and you just grab something, whatever, to eat. For most people who do it, because you have that time, then your eating also becomes intentional. You're aware of what you eat, and you are making sure that you are combining the right foods, and making sure that you're eating your salads and your greens and whatever your diet for you, specifically for you. Making sure that you maintain that so that you stay healthy. So yes, intermittent fasting is wonderful for everyone.
I want to say thank you, Dr. Karasay, for taking the time out of your very, very busy schedule as a medical doctor. And what else you're a medical doctor. I was trying to do some research to share with the group, but you can tell us better, just real brief, what it is that you're a medical doctor, you deal with neurology?
Yes.
Clinical psychology.
I'm a neuropsychiatrist. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time and even sharing with us and elaborating even more the importance of the diet and the nutrition, and how we can connect those pieces with the needs of our community. I think the time wait. The time is 8:36, so we're actually 6 minutes over. I hope this Zoom doesn't, because I just do it always for 1 hour and a half. So I hope it doesn't kick us out. But before we go, Brother Mark, if you will, please give us a word of dismissal. I thank everyone for joining. I just appreciate you all so much. Thank you for teaching me as well. Brother Mark.
So real quick before I say what I'm going to say, they always say if you're the smartest one in the room, you need to change rooms. I love this room.
Me too.
I love this room.
Me too.
So when you think about combinations, think about these two combinations.
Yes.
If you cook fast, you eat fast, you feel bad. If you cook slow, you eat slow, you feel better.
Yes.
God bless everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you so much. Love you all. Have a great week.
Enjoy your Resurrection Day next week.
Yes, Yes, next week.
Have a good Holy Week.
Bye, y'all.
Have a good Holy Week, and we'll see you the week after, God willing. Bye.
Bargani, oh! Bargani. Oh, you don't know what I mean because you only practice Kwanzaa one time a year. We at Gye-Nyame Journey, we practice Kwanzaa 365 days a year, allowing the power of our culture to help build what our ancestors called the best life. And we're inviting you to do the same. Come and join us at freegnjecourse.com so that we can start building together. I'm out. What is a lion without his pride? What is a whale without his pod? What is a monkey without his troop? What is a wolf without his pack? The answer is very simple. They are the same thing that a human being is without a tribe. Pray.